We're live. Brilliant. Thank you for joining us. Sorry we're a little bit late. That's definitely not my fault. But yeah, thanks for joining us for this one. We're looking forward to our guest coming in at some point. Nouran, the Terminator. She's the current world #1 for the women. So she will be here very, very shortly. But it's myself and PJ. Budge up a little bit, sir. Sorry, we're in our environment for work, so this has been allowed by Boris, and we did contact them, didn't we, at Downing Street about this, and they understand
we're in the same bubble.
How important it is for getting some exposure for squash with how limited things are at the moment. But thanks for joining us, PJ. Fantastic to be together again after Qatar. Now, the Qatar Classic was a monumental event. A lot of change going on with the Qatar Classic, with a lot of things that happened there, with people possibly coming through, a couple of people departing early, and obviously Ali Farag sealing the deal for the second time. But I mean, just looking back on that event, particularly to those latter rounds, what was the kind of rhythm for you with what was going on, with a little bit of not changing of the guard, but there was certainly a few eye openers there.
Yeah, some interesting results. Quarterfinals day was probably one of the best quarterfinals that I can remember for quite some time. All four quarters going the distance.
Yeah.
Five gamers. Extremely impressed with young Ibrahim from Egypt, the talented left-hander. A lot of kind of similarities, a bit of a blend really. Some of Arma Shabana in there with obviously the left-handed technique. Liked to work the ball onto his forehand side where he was a little bit more dangerous and a bit more deadly. And also glimpses of Rami Ashur. The way that he attacked the front of the court. Didn't really seem to be too much structure, but he was so hard to read, and his performance against Mohamed El Shibagi, you could just tell that Mohamed really struggled to read the lefty. So I was extremely impressed with him. And also what I was even more impressed by was how he backed up the next day and had a very good chance against Dasuki in that semi-final.
He had a bit of a rough ride towards it. There's a bit of controversy at the back end of that with a massive double pickup, double bounce. It wasn't spotted, surprisingly. But yeah, he had a bit of bad luck with that because it went to the wire. As being a left-hander yourself, mate, I mean, it must be quite cool to see a lad coming through who's a southpaw, because they're few and far between on the men's tour, really.
He's kind of carried on the torch from Shabana, really. Again, so many similarities. The technique down the backhand side, relatively defensive per se, but as soon as he got the opportunity on the left side wall, he was absolutely ruthless. I mean, his attacking play was not revolutionary, but something we've not quite seen going into the front for a couple of years.
It's funny though you say that, because you're talking about the Egyptians and obviously Tariq Momin, who just literally plays the front of the court more than the back. And then another player of so many comes along, and there's a little bit of a different take on it.
Well, the big difference between, yes, we see Tariq Momin going into the front of the court quite frequently, more often than most. But for me, he kind of floats the ball in, he places the ball into the front. When you look at Ibrahim, the racket head speed that he generated,
very quick,
and the precision, everything kind of starts off quite slow, but then it goes in quite sharp.
Yeah. And
he makes it that little bit harder to read. It's a very different attacking game. Even though they're hitting the same areas of the court, the way that they're attacking is completely different, in my opinion. There's a lot more severity to what Ibrahim did. So, great tournament for him coming through there. Mohamed El Shibagi, unfortunately, now I think there's going to be a bit of a gulf in the points between Ali Farag and himself after that particular tournament. Couple of disappointments for me, Joey. The semi-finals. Bit of a non-contest really. That
was quite strange. You got your coffee there as well.
Dasuki, who'd played well leading up to that semi-final, and he came through against Ibrahim in 5. And it was a highly entertaining and exciting battle between those two, but it wasn't really physically that taxing. But the head-off that we saw from Dasuki, I personally, in my 35 years of being around squash, have never seen a performance like that.
No.
Not just in a semi-final, but anywhere.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody give up in that manner.
No, it was strange. It was very odd. It was sad to see. Really, really bad to see. And hopefully you won't be seeing any of that at the Black Ball Open. But and then obviously Ali Farag, you said cementing himself as well, #1, winning that Qatar Classic. He was up against Paul Cole in the final. Great opportunity for Paul Cole to win his first major there as well. But
Cole was brilliant for me right up, and first 2 rounds he was ever so slightly rusty, but then for me, hit his stride when he came up against Marwan El Shabagi. That was a potential banana skin for Cole, but the way that he dealt and tactically played Marwan was, for me, one of the best performances I'd seen from Cole, and I felt that he was going to continue that that quality of play. But I don't know what it is. If you look at the head-to-heads between Paul and Ali, he's clearly got his number, and we saw that in the final, because physically Farag did look a little bit more fatigued and jaded of the two, but the way he read Paul Cole and just picked him off was a bit of a masterclass, really.
Yeah.
Because I think Farag had an hour less on the court, but even still, you felt that the physicality was.
He did look vulnerable physically against Diego Elias and also Tariq Momin. There was a lot of bending over and all the rest of it. Even though the Tariq Momin match was one of the softest match that I've seen between the two.
Yeah.
You know, it was the most one-sided for Ali between the two. They've had some real battles, obviously, in the past. But yeah, no, it was a lot of things going on there, and I think generally the squash was, particularly the quarterfinals, was pretty impressive, wasn't it? Yeah. When you think the lack of kind of events and what's been happening. There was
a little bit of talk about the playability of the court. Some of the players were making reference to it was a slightly difficult court to get used to. Generally, that arena, we kept talking about it while we were out there. It's like 35 degrees outside, but they have to keep the temperature inside down to about 18, because a lot of the sponsors and the dignitaries like to keep cool while they're watching. And that made the court, and it's difficult because it's very fast off of the front wall, but the corners are very dead. So you almost have to, I mean, these guys are pros and they adapted brilliantly, but you could see that it took them a match or two to find that kind of rhythm. But once they did that, as you said, the quarterfinals onwards, there was some really good quality.
No, it's good you clear that up, because obviously on comms we talk about it being such a cold environment there, but it is for a reason that they do that, as you explained, and it's important to know that, because the court conditions can make such a big difference, you know, from tournament to tournament, and they vary. The glass courts vary from tournament to tournament. The different brands of glass court, whether it's outside or indoors. I mean, all these factors that players have to deal with, considerable, and that's before they step on court, really. Yeah,
and they would previously, they'd coming in from Egypt, where they were playing outdoors, probably in the mid-20s out there, bit of humidity in the pyramids.
Probably
there.
Cooler, actually. I don't know, it's hard. You've played up there yourself as well. It's
different,
it's high up and it's cold, but
it's windy. It's more breezy.
Warm during the day. But yeah, no, it was good to get stuck in with that. How did you find? Do you think Lisa was good value? Wasn't she? She did very well.
I thought she was absolutely brilliant for a maiden tournament in the comms box.
First major tournament. Yeah.
I thought she handled herself extremely well. Good knowledge, nice accent again, and better looking than you. So yeah,
thank you very much.
It was good. Yeah, a good addition, great addition.
And then coming up, you know, we've got the ladies and the men's event in Egypt, which we're looking forward to. We'll be certainly talking to Nouran when she does make herself available. She's obviously waiting for the dramatic entrance. But yeah, that will sadly PJ won't be doing that one. You're gonna go off on a holiday, aren't you?
I need a break. Yeah.
You're gonna go off.
Enough of this lockdown.
Yeah, so you're gonna head off. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be myself, Johnny Williams, and I think Vanessa Atkinson. Yeah, for that one. You've got your coffee there, Paige, as well. Don't forget.
Thank you. Cheers, mate. Thanks.
But yeah, so Black Ball Open. Nouran's now joined. Here we go. Perfect timing. I don't want to knock it over. Go live. Waiting.
Drum roll, please.
Internet here is very, very good. So awesome stuff. We in? She's still there. You talk away.
Still connecting. Yeah, just connecting. Yeah. I think she's actually. Oh, we'll find out where she is.
Yeah.
She's maybe in Doha.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Nouran. I know you're busy, and you know, I hope things are okay considering everything of, you know, obviously yesterday and stuff.
Yeah, can you hear us okay? Thank you. Thanks a lot for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks very pink. Are you in the bed? Are you in the in your bedroom? It looks very
Yes.
pink in there.
My favorite color. I'm in my
Have
bedroom actually.
you got those squash balls? Are they squash
I'm
balls
like
you've got on the back
circles.
of your?
Yeah, I'm like
Oh
a
my
child,
goodness!
guys.
Oh,
Like
amazing!
anyone who knows me out of the court
No,
is
it's the
like,
same
you're a
as.
little girl. I behave
That's
like a little
brilliant.
girl.
It's amazing with the different colour balls. PJ's got loads of kind of Batman and Robin in
Yeah.
his. He still has the same
Child at
bedspread that he had when
child
he was
at
11.
heart.
Yeah.
That's the best thing to do.
Exactly. Always, always.
So yeah, congratulations, obviously being now world number one. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh,
I can
you
hear
there?
you. Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations on being world number one. Again, that's your first time there. It must feel pretty special.
Yeah, I'm super happy with it, even though last month I dropped to number two again. But I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, you had it. You had it.
but
Sorry. Yeah. Go on.
yeah, I mean, it was quite a like. I mean, I didn't quite expect it because Ronim, I had no clue that she was retiring anytime soon. We weren't competing at that time, and
Yeah.
you always imagine yourself to reach world number one, you have to win a couple of tournaments in a row or something, and it wasn't really the case, and it was during Corona as well, so. Actually, I was super happy because life was getting really boring. So it was quite an event. It was quite a big event
Yeah.
to have during that time. So.
It's
And
not a
something
bad
to
thing to
support
take
me
away your paddle,
about.
though.
Yeah. So this will be. So you're now back to world number two, but I mean, this is the third time that you've hit world number two. Because how old were you when you first hit world number two? It's hard to. Were you still a junior?
Oh
Were you
my God,
18?
yeah,
How
it
old were you when
feels
you were
like it
19 when
was
you hit?
ages ago. I mean, that's the feeling I have at first, but I feel I'm like a different person every time I reach number two. Like even now it's completely different than last year, and definitely completely different than when I reached it when I was 18 or 19 years old. Uh, Maturity definitely plays a big role. I mean, I feel like I have so many matches under my belt, and so I feel like I'm more. I don't want to say more experienced, but I feel like I've been through a lot, like very bad moments more than good moments actually. But it made me grow as a person, even as a person more than a squash player actually. And I'm very proud of this period that happened. When I look back, I'm just like really proud and really happy that it went that way. Even though I was like suffering and struggling at that time, it wasn't really pleasant or enjoyable at all. But I felt
Yeah.
it was quite an experience, and that I'm happy I've been through it.
Yeah. I mean, PJ's going to jump in literally in a minute. I mean, just to have that kind of life experience with the squash, like you say, those ups and downs that are so extreme, so young. I mean, sure, that's going to serve you in good stead now. You must feel a lot of maturity about everything, and are you a bit calmer? You're a bit more
Yes.
open-minded and calmer, not so. I mean, obviously, we all hate to lose. It's the worst thing in the world when you're a
Yeah.
sports person, but it's not the kind of be all and end all because you can always bounce back. Is that how you
Yeah,
feel?
definitely. I mean, I've always been that super hyper person you can see on court. I like to play fast pace, and my life is always fast paced as well outside of the squash court. But I feel I when I lose matches now, I'm not like a very spontaneous person. I'm trying to like think with my mind a little bit more and not being too spontaneous. And it helped me outside of the squash court as well. And as you're saying, actually, I feel like as if you know me as a person now. I'm calmer. I'm not very nervous. I take things in a slower pace now in my life as well. I'm like trying just to enjoy every moment and just think before doing anything. So definitely it helped, and I think
Sure.
age as well. You become older, and you have white hair. I don't have white hair now, but I feel like I'm having white hair.
Easy. Let's talk about the white hair. Not yet. Just, I mean, you've had an unbelievable career, obviously, and you started extremely young. What were you, 14, 15 when you turned pro? Can you remember how old you were when you turned pro?
Yeah,
14, 15?
I remember that we had local tournaments played in Egypt. I think one of the first tournaments that I played was the qualification of Hurghada, when we had Hurghada in Egypt that was played. I think it was 2012, maybe. So that was, I was, 14.
14, 15.
Yeah.
Just looking at your.
Sorry?
Carry on, your Wi-Fi's off.
Yeah, turn it off.
No, it's okay.
He's telling me off.
Sorry, go on.
Just going back, just looking through your career, with obviously followed your career closely. But 2000, for me, 2018, 2019 was the period where things really started to click for you, where you almost kind of cemented, you almost looked as though you felt that you belonged amongst the top 3-4 players in the world. Was there a particular aspect or element of your game that you felt that you had really worked on that enabled that? Because when you first came onto the tour, you took a lot of people by surprise because of your sheer pace and your aggression of hitting. But it almost looked like, especially the US Open and the British Open, there was a massive, like a lot more variation, and the heights that you were using on the front wall seemed a lot more subtle and a lot more obvious, whereas primarily when you were playing, a lot of your activity was service line and below, and it was the sheer pace that got you to cause so many problems for the top players. But I mean, that the British Open and the US Open, again in particular for me, was where your game to me looked far more complete. Was there anything in particular that you remember working on, or was that a conscious effort to do that?
It was, it came out at the British Open and the US Open. It was back to back, but it has been a work that we have been doing with my team, especially with Omar, for maybe not less than a year. We have been aware that it's not working anymore. My plan A, definitely I still have my plan A, and it causes many problems to many players, but at the same time, I had this problem: if plan A isn't working, I should like have another like workaround plan, another thing to do. And I felt that what made the difference or caught the opponents by surprise, that I was trying to adapt more maybe. But that's the game of squash, that your opponent realizes your strong points and then they come back to you the next match, they caught you by surprise, and then you could do the same. So that's what I love about squash. It's like a chess game. It's all about tactics and how you can implement your game plan. It's all about who can implement his game plan on this day. And all the top 10 players are capable of beating anyone in the top 10 as well. So it's quite challenging, and it's quite interesting as well. Today, like you can see like a number 9 beating world number 1. It's not like when Nicole was playing, for example, she was really dominating the game and she was really on top of it. So I feel it's more challenging for us because you have to work around, and not only you're not like comparing yourself to only 1 or 2 players in the top 3 or top 4, but I feel like it's more complete in the top 10 as well. Like the differences are very minimal, and it makes it more interesting for us as well to work even harder and harder every day.
Have you you touched upon saying squash is the chess, which has been used a lot. Have you watched the Queen's Gambit yet?
No, not yet. Is it a nice one?
Oh, you should. Oh my goodness me, you'll find it amazing. It's I don't want to give too much away, but it's about a very intense a child prodigy chess player who travels with her mother, and they're a pretty amazing team. And she's very successful. I don't want to give any more away. But you need to.
I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Yeah, because she when she's on her bed at night time, she looks up and she plays chess on the roof of her bedroom, and obviously you've got squash balls on the back of your wall there, which obviously
but it's more colorful in my room.
And hitting the ball harder.
And with different sizes.
I was gonna say, Omar Abdelaziz has just joined the chat, Nouran, and I mean, obviously he's worked with you since the beginning. I mean, I know him very well from his playing days, and he could never hit the ball straight twice in a row. Has that really helped with the feeling? Has that made you
Oh, he's one of the best coaches. Actually, Omar is like, I told him one day, if I decide to do like a book or something, I'm just gonna call you. I think you're the one who should write this book. He has seen it all. I mean, yeah, he has seen like the evolution, like, you know, the evolution of the of the Nouran
yeah,
kind of person. On and off the sport.
He's seen all facets.
Yeah, no, that's great. You've got a wonderful relationship with him, and he's obviously
his family.
Levels are fantastic, and yeah, exactly. No, it's great. He's done a wonderful job with you, and it's great that you have that relationship, and hopefully, and all the way through your career, which would be fantastic. We have got a few questions coming in. There was one asking about who's your sporting icon.
That's a good question. If you look back to a lot of primarily the Egyptian male players, when they grew up, Ahmed Barada started the re-ignition of Egyptian squash, really. Early 90s was when he kind of came through and really catapulted the game again in Egypt. And I remember I played him a few times at the Pyramids in 98, 99. And he almost had this kind of iconic following. I mean, he was absolutely adored by a lot of the Egyptian fans, and he was almost a bit of a sporting celebrity, really. Who would have been somebody you would have looked up to when you were coming through?
Not Egyptian,
from any sport.
I've always
from any sport.
From any sport. I mean, in squash, I had like posters of Nicole David in my room. I've always wanted to see her, actually. And I remember at the World Teams that were held in Egypt in 2010, I just went there to see Nicole in real life, how she looks like. That's when I remember the first time I saw her. It was huge for me. But in other sports, I really admire till now, actually, Serena Williams and Michael Phelps. Like, for me, these two are great athletes, and I really like their stories, and they just inspire me, like, to work hard, and I just like their success story. I feel like every athlete has something different, but these two, I just feel I can compare some stuff. Definitely, they're great, and I'm nothing compared to them. But I just feel like sometimes I can relate to some stuff they're saying and stuff. So these two are great examples.
Can you remember your emotions when you finally got to play?
Oh my God!
Somebody you've obviously grown up playing.
I remember. I remember actually the first World Series tournament I played was the US Open 2013. No, 2014, I think. Or 2012 maybe. I can't remember. But I was 15. I was 15. Yeah, so it was 2012. I was 15 years old, and Noor Al-Tayeb at that time, she introduced me to Nicole, and she was like, "Oh, that's Nouran, and she really likes you, and she really admires you and everything." And I was like, the next tournament, Nicole came, and she was like, "Hi Nouran, how are you?" And I remember calling my mom, and I was like, "Mommy, Nicole remembers my name," and she did. Yeah, so it was huge for me at that time. And then the first time when we were on court, it was at the Alexandria Open. I had my exams during that time, but I just went to Alexandria to just play this match and just go back. And the first game I was 10-6 up, and then I lost it. And I remember before this tournament, Nicole did like the great comeback when she was 2-1 down at 10-6 against Ranim at the Wadi Degla, at the World Open final. And Ranim was actually watching that match, and she went and she was like, "Oh, you remembered my match." Right? So, but then I remember I was like exhausted after this game, and maybe she just won 11-4, 11-5 the second two games. Yeah, it was. But I was really happy to be with her, sharing with her the court. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, she's been fantastic, obviously, and hopefully she's going to still be very much involved in squash, Nicole David. Absolute legend. We've got another question coming in just about your an average, not an average day, but a hard day's training, like one of your harder days in the week. What would that consist of? And no, and don't play
no,
it down.
I'm getting old, guys. I'm 23 now. I feel old. I'm not doing the same stuff anymore. Believe me. And Omar can tell you.
Actually. Did you remember?
Over the hill at 23. My goodness. Bearing in mind, you're also holding down a full-time education as well, which I think you finish in December, right?
Yes, I'm finishing
construction engineering. So if you're not putting your head in the book, when you're not studying, you're then training. What's the blend? How do you get a bit of a balance?
Oh, you mean when I was studying? How was I able to do it? I mean, it was really tough, but then I just had to manage my time. It was only about studying. There was nothing else, like no social life, no friends, no family, nothing. That's the first thing to do.
Very similar to that.
Just pretend that you don't exist. No, and then I mean, like, I would wake up in the morning, have my fitness session. Usually it would be like a track session or a gym session. Really early in the morning. I'm a morning person. I like to wake up early and everything. So maybe I would have this session at 7 a.m. and then classes would start 9 or 10. And then I was trying to finish early, like maybe at 1. Sometimes I wasn't able because I have like a full day in school. So I would have like a session with Omar at 1 between like classes, finish at 2:30 or something, and then go to classes, finish at 5, and then having another squash session like conditional games or practice match or something, maybe at 6, 7, finish at 9, and then if I need to do, it's either in the morning, it was either Omar or I have like a solo session. It's alternating. And then usually in the afternoon, it's more of practice matches and conditional games. That's I think it's common in Egypt. That's how we train. And then
3 times a day. Three times a day.
Yeah,
Three times a day.
Yeah.
3 sets
I like some players like to do their fitness and their their feeding or the solo session like next to each other. I like to have like a break. I didn't like have a choice actually because I had to just fit in the schedule, like see where are the free cells and just put the training in it. And then I go back, study, and then maybe sleep at midnight or something.
How midnight? So you sleep at midnight? Sorry, PJ's getting very excited. Sorry, we've had very strong coffee.
Yeah.
That's mine. Mine says Mister. What does yours say?
But honestly, if I have the choice,
anyway.
I really like to sleep early. Like I can sleep like at 10. 10, that's very early in Egypt. Like that's I like to sleep actually. Yeah,
but if you're training 3 times a day, I'm just fascinated because we both love our sleep. PJ a little bit more than me. But if you were going to sleep at, this is obviously when you were kind of a late teenager, or is it more recently now? But you go to bed at say 12 and then you're up at 6. That's 6 hours sleep, so you're getting no rest in the day.
Yeah,
a lot of players
that
do 2 sessions a day would have a sleep in the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I would have a nap if I can. Before my afternoon session, but that's I mean, not every day is like this. Like, I mean, that's like the toughest day. Maybe I would have like 2 or 3 days like this during a week. But now I don't have this anymore. I mean, now I'm studying online and I'm just taking like half the load because I have just 2 more courses to go. So this semester is like nothing compares. Like when I remember now, I'm like, that's crazy. I can't do this. Yeah, but no, now it's not like this anymore. I mean, during tournaments, actually, that's when I was resting. I would have some more sleep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Obviously, it worked. How do you think life will change then once you finish graduating? Will it give you an opportunity to focus even more on your squash? Or how do you think you'll approach, I mean, just your weekly schedule? Because obviously a lot of that was taken up with all your studying. Now you're gonna,
are you engaged?
I'm getting
Are you engaged?
I'm not. I'm getting.
The right answer to the question. Hang on a minute. Everything's so fast forward.
Who told you guys? That's, he's gonna kill me.
Don't look at me. I didn't even know you. I didn't think you were supposed to know.
No,
Sorry.
it's
You heard it now.
Yeah, it was going to.
Don't look at me.
No, I just thought I just was. I don't know.
No, it's fine. It's
so
fine,
obviously you'll have a lot of changes. Changes in your life.
I hope you're
No, they know.
They do now.
No, thank goodness for that. Sorry about that. But I mean, obviously, what were your degree?
Construction.
What would be the title of your degree?
In engineering, but I'm specialized in management, like project management.
Well, that's good. I mean, there's quite a few houses to finish in Cairo, isn't there? There's quite in New Cairo. There's quite a few houses to finish. So you're probably very busy with that as well after school.
Yeah. You mean I live in New Cairo? Yeah. My house.
Yeah, you're in New Cairo. No, but there's so many. When we go there, there's lots of condos that seem to be half finished.
And I mean, like the roads and bridges there, like doing this every day now. So my mom is always like telling me, you do have some job to do when you graduate. No worries.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. PJ, are you okay? You've got another question. We got these questions. The reason we're looking down, Nouran, is because we're getting questions coming through from the viewers. So we're just picking ones that we feel fit.
We've got a quick question here, wondering what would you recall as your most memorable experience throughout your career? Is there one match in particular that stands out? Is there a tournament that stands out? I remember we interviewed you after you just won the British Open, and that had come off the back of a really tough period for you.
Yeah. That's a tough question.
Is anything that stands out? Yeah. Anything in particular where you kind of a match that you remember that really is like a most memorable moment for you throughout your career? Have a think.
I mean, one of the matches that I would love to like just watch it again. It's not on Squash TV, I think. It's the one where I've beaten Nicole in China during the quarterfinals. It was like straight after the first time I was with her on court, and I mean, on social media things went viral. Like, it was crazy because I think that was the last tournament she was seeded #1 in it and world #1, and then I was just happy to be with her on court. So being like winning the match for me was something I couldn't explain at all. It took me some days like to realize I've beaten my idol, someone I've always looked up to. So I mean, this match is something when I just remember it, it just puts like a smile on my face. Yeah.
Do you go back and do you watch over some of your matches? There's one match in particular that stands out for me was when you won the US Open. And you saved against Thailand. And there was one shot in particular, you a backhand drop from the back. It's the first time you played the shot the entire match, and it's literally, I don't know, like 2 inches above the tin. And this is championship ball down, and then from there you kind of turned it around.
I mean, this match I couldn't watch it for like 3-4 months after the tournament. Oh, and every time I
Really?
watch it, I'm like, definitely I lost this one. There's no way I've won
How,
it.
yeah, how did I manage to win? Yeah, yeah.
The Nouran, just looking ahead to the Black Ball Open. Obviously, the ladies didn't have their tournament in Qatar, so the last time you played was at the Pyramids. I mean, this is obviously massive for you at the end of the year. How do you feel about your draw and looking ahead at that event?
I mean, yeah, I'm just super happy that we are able to play one last tournament before the end of the year. Especially that we're not, because if we did a long break and then you have to get back, and it's not easy for us as players to just have like a rupture and then go back, and like the momentum and the rhythm is like isn't there anymore. So looking at the draw, yeah, I mean, I don't really like look at the draw and the focus really who I'm playing against as much as I just focus on the on my tournament preparation in general. If I feel good about myself, that's the most important thing. I mean, it doesn't really matter who I'm gonna play. I mean, all players are really like it's the top 32 in the world. So I mean, definitely, I'm having a very tough match from the first match. So. I just focus on the fact that I'm not injured. That's the most important aspect. And then physically, I'm trying to be fit. And then we're just gonna. I'm just super excited to be able to play another tournament before the end of the year, because who knows when is the next tournament. I mean, so you just have to take your to give it all as if it's the last tournament you're playing, and it is the last tournament you're playing this year. So I'm just happy, and it's in New Cairo. It's like 5 minutes away from home. I'm having my family and friends that will come, hopefully, come and cheer. So if they're free, yeah, I'm just happy to be able to play it for sure.
And you're obviously with the PSA bubble, because I didn't do those tournaments in Cairo. Qatar was very strict with everything, and they did an amazing job with keeping everyone safe and everything with the COVID scenario. So you'll have to, even though it's 5 minutes away, you'll be staying in the hotel, won't you? Yeah.
So, given the limitations and the restrictions that you've had with the COVID, one of the things that kind of stood out for Joey and I and in Qatar was some of the players took a little bit of time to settle into the tournament. Normally, you'll probably have 2-3 tournaments leading into this, so you're kind of match sharp and match ready. What would be of paramount importance for you coming into the? Will you be looking to up your training? Will you be looking to get matches in? Because for us, it was kind of standout obvious that the players that started off the tournament better were the ones that had a little bit more match play coming into the tournament, because you can lose a little bit of that edge, can't you, if you haven't had some
definitely. I mean, the conditions are completely different, as you're saying, because we are being tested, and then you have to stay in your room for like a day and a half without like without access to gym, or you have just to stay in your room without any you can't hit in the court and everything. So for all of us, all players, for us it's completely new. Like I remember at Al Haram, my first hit was during my second round match, and it took me some time to adjust, and which surprisingly it doesn't really happen. Like usually I'm up for it from the very first point. But I mean, like as you're saying, coming up for the Black Ball, I had this experience already. I had it during Al Ahram, I had it during the World Tour Finals. I skipped Manchester, unfortunately, because I wasn't like ready to play it, but but I know the experience, so I can quite like expect what to feel or how to prepare. But you just have to adjust. I mean, we all have the same conditions. It's all about who will just adapt and make the best out of it. You can do it. I saw Greg Marshy was posting doing footwork in his room. it's I mean it's new, but it was very creative, to be honest.
Did you not see the videos of Joey lifting up his bed in the room? You didn't see the training.
Yeah, and I mean the room is big, so it definitely helps.
Yeah, that was. I got. I don't know what the bill was for all the damage that I created with the furniture, but you know, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do in Cairo. I'm going to have to try and find something to lift.
Yeah. Don't be there. I won't be there. So it won't be me.
We've got one more question. I think we've got one more question coming in for you, Nouran. We're not going to keep you too much longer. You've been fantastic. There's one in there. There's a chat that keeps persisting about how many times did you train when you were 14? You'd have to obviously go back to your training diary to that. That's obviously about 15 years ago, but he's pretty obsessed with that. He's going for it there. But I think we won't answer that one. PJ, you've got another one for Nouran?
Well, it's an interesting question here. Post-career, post-squash career, what do you feel that your career as a professional athlete has taught you for later on?
Oh, so many things. Actually, I was talking to other professional athletes, not squash players, and we were saying that being a professional athlete, you are put in such situations that you're never being put in, like in real life. Like there's a certain level of I mean, you have to take a decision in like very few seconds. That's something that I never experienced in real life. So that's why I'm like, I feel like the reaction is like very slow in real life. Like I have my time, I can think. That's something that a lot of athletes like are put, like the fact that you're always put under pressure, under stress, and you still have to work because you know that's your job and you're passionate about it as well. So I feel being able to work under pressure and stress, like sometimes people are like normal people that are not athletes and they're like, how do you do this? But then I figure out like most of the athletes do the same thing that I do, but for normal people, that's extraordinary. How do you do this? That's something we get. And I myself feel like I'm a completely different person if I'm not training, if I'm resting. I feel like I'm not the same Nouran. I don't have the same energy. I'm not an active person actually. So I feel the ability to be working under pressure and under, but healthy stress, like there is a certain level of stress, is something I'm really grateful for actually, that squash have put me under this kind of situations. Being independent as well, like I feel I just need, like everyone sees what's on the squash court, but around the squash court you don't see logistically how much you do to work things around your time management schedule, all of these things. So I feel a lot of traits and a lot of things I've learned because I'm a squash player actually, and I'm very grateful for that, for sure.
No, definitely. Nouran, it's been fantastic. I really appreciate. We both really appreciate your time. Always a pleasure interviewing you. Great fun to interview. One last question.
Definitely.
One last question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
That's a funny one. I feel like it's a funny one coming.
No. Oh, you have Red Bull. Interesting. Out of all the Terminator films, which is your favourite one?
I've watched the last one, and that was the first time I watched a Terminator movie, actually.
Really? Okay, PJ. So I highly recommend, right, at some point when you've got some downtime, to watch Terminator 2. Okay. What about you? Yeah, Judgment Day. Yeah. 2.
Yeah, I still think the original Terminator 1 is. Okay.
So we'll watch both of 1 and 2 at least. They're the best. They're easily the best ones. But when I see you at Blackpool, I want to make sure that you've seen those. All right?
Okay.
So I'll be testing.
You're gonna ask me in my post match next time.
100%. Yeah.
No, I remember watching
you do a review on the
newest one. It was last March, I think. I went to the movies with a couple of friends, and it was the Terminator. And I was like, I looked at them and I was like, he's very mean. Yeah, but I can't imagine myself on court. Everyone is like, oh, you don't seem like this on court. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Oh, thanks. Brilliant. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Wish you the best of luck at Blackpool, and stay safe, and good luck with everything else. And I'll I'll see you in a
Okay.
couple of weeks anyway.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye,
Stay
PJ.
safe. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Guys,
Bye.
see you.
Bye.
Bye, bye.
You want to press? There we go. There we go. Okay. Nice one.
Awesome.
Well, that was fantastic. She's a real personality. I mean, what's fantastic is that she can see she can see the side, and she's got a sense of humour about herself.
Yeah.
Obviously, on court, she's on a
All
complete
about business.
massive mission, and then this kind of alter ego. And what you see is obviously that's exactly how she is. That's her personality, and she's very, very intelligent. Far too intelligent for myself and PJ, I have to say that. But yeah, I mean, massively destructive. And just talking like 23 years of age. I mean, I know she started young, and it's been very, full on and intense, as she said, PJ. But goodness me, she's on fast forward, isn't she?
Brilliant. I mean, what a career. 23 years of age, to achieve so much. But for me, she's always kind of been behind that little chasing pack. Your Willilis, your Nicole Davids, your Shabinis, your Taibs. And now here she is, she's claimed the #1 position, but she's done it in a kind of very quiet way. She's not really made too much noise. But,
yeah, well, I mean,
awesome.
she's terrific. Really enjoyed that interview. Well, just looking ahead, PJ, we've got the Blackpool Open for both the women's and the men's. So the way it's going to work with the PSA events, 2 gold events at the Blackpool Club. The women's event will kick off on the 7th of December, 6 days through, and the men's will start literally straight after, the day after next. So I'll be going there with Johnny Williams and Vanessa.
Yeah.
But looking ahead at the men's event, okay, we're just looking there. Mohamed El Shabaghi can't play again, so he played in Qatar, didn't make the most of that. He can't play in it because he's not able to go to Egypt because of the army restrictions that he's not wanting to get caught up with. So again, it's huge opportunity for Ali Farag to clock up huge points when the lack of events are around.
And the way that he's playing at the moment, Joey, as well, he seems to have settled himself now into that position. It was interesting listening to him. He doesn't really put much relevance on the world #1 spot. That's not really the major important thing for him. Whereas the mindset of Mohamed El Shabaghi is completely different, because Shabaghi feels, which is quite right, that the player that's most consistent through the season is the one that at the end of the day will come out on top of the world rankings. But just looking at the two mindset differences between those two, I find quite interesting. But as you say, I mean, Shabaghi's going to be absolutely chomping at the bit the next time in 2021 when that season comes around, because rest assured he would have gone away or be working on his game trying to catch Ali Farag, who at the moment, for me, he's probably head and shoulders.
So you feel? I was going to ask you for a prediction for the men's first. Firstly, for winning the Blackpool, the men's.
I can't see anybody beating Farag at the moment.
You don't think the baby-faced assassin who didn't play in Qatar for what I think he was slightly injured? He does love a Cairo tournament. Does have a good track record.
Some of it will depend on the run through and the draw. Depends how the draw unfolds. Farag gets, because of his economy of movement, he generally gets through to the later stages relatively fresh and unscathed. As we know, Gawad on his day, he can beat anybody, and it all depends what Gawad turns up. But for me, if I was a betting man, I'd be putting my money on Farag. He just looks like he's got his house in order.
And the women's, obviously, we've just interviewed the Terminator, who looks like she's going to be chomping at the bit, that's for sure. But I mean, again, massive opportunity for the women. Last event of the year, didn't play Qatar, so massively competitive at the top, with the Warrior Princess involved in the mix as well. And
I think
Kamisa.
You got a little group there. You got 5 ladies for me at the moment that seem to be El Hammami's. She had a fantastic event.
CIB in the World Tour Finals. Yeah, I mean, the women's is a lot more open than the men's. Do you think?
100%. I think you'd have to give El Shabini the slight edge.
Yeah,
as a bit of a favourite, but looking at Gohar there, she seems extremely relaxed.
Yeah, I think the relaxation is going to be.
I think it helps the fact that she's also doing a bit of studying. She's got a nice balance. It seems like her entire life doesn't revolve around squash. There's not too much pressure and importance put on that. Having said that, when you see her on the court, you'd think that this is the be-all and end-all for her. But again, what's so exciting about the ladies' game is, first of all, the standard that they're playing at, but also just the diversity.
Yeah, sure.
The mixture of players and the styles that we're seeing there. It's taken the game to another level again.
They've done really well with obviously Renima Walili retiring. He was just an absolute, is a legend, and what an amazing player and lady. There's, with the young Hamami kind of coming in, they're kind of moving, they're taking that slight void, which you've got to say it, because Walili for me was the catalyst for that next phase of squash after Nicole David.
Let's not forget Subramaniam as well.
Yeah, the lefty from the Malaysian.
So there's a whole core of players coming through.
The European girls are doing well. The European girls are, they're really pushing hard and improving their games. There's a lot of chasing pack in that top 20, which is good. So yeah, fantastic. So the women's event will be kicking off first there, and looking forward to that one. But myself and PJ will be back. We will be back on Holding Court Live, and I hope you've all enjoyed it today. Anyone that hasn't seen it live can watch it on our YouTube channel, which is Holding Court Live, so you can check that out as well. I think it will be going on Facebook. So anyway, I hope everyone has a good weekend and stay safe. Thanks everyone. Thank you very much.